The great Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel used to begin each of his classes at the Jewish Theological Seminary with the following words. This morning I saw a miracle. This morning I saw the sunrise. And it doesn't matter if you think that this line is incredibly insightful or incredibly corny, because that wasn't so much the point. The point was that this simple message was central to Heschel's theology, and one that he worked at each and every day in order to embrace the complexity of existence. Rabbi Heschel based his understanding of Judaism, of God, and of life in general on two foundational concepts: wonder and awe. Now, these words are, of course, loaded. There's plenty to unpack in each of them, but the ikar, the real essence of what Heschel was advocating is this: that true holiness, that true religious observance comes from allowing ourselves to be surprised. And this sounds so beautiful and so easy, doesn't it? When we see a gorgeous sunrise, it does feel miraculous. It takes our breath away with the colors and the way it changes with each passing minute. When we have a great moment of joy, when we get to celebrate a bar mitzvah like Matt's this morning, it's easy to be surprised and to be thankful by how wonderful it feels to sing to him, to listen to him teach and read Torah, and to throw candy to emphasize the sweetness of this moment. And in the darker shades of this theology, when we lose someone that we love, suddenly or even with expectation, it's easy to be surprised by the weight of grief and loss that we feel, to be filled with awe by just how much the absence of one person can hurt. And because these moments are easier to comprehend, to understand the surprises they have to offer, I can't help but feel that Heschel missed an opportunity to really explain his theology. What would it be like if he started each class by saying, "Today I witnessed a miracle. Today I woke up and it was overcast." Or, "Today I woke up and it was still dark outside and I put on the clothes that I laid out for myself last night, just like I do every night and every day. And then I sat in traffic on my way to work." Because I don't know about you, but for me, that would be dramatically more impressive than finding the wonder and the awe and the extraordinary in those moments of life that still have the ability to hit us viscerally, hit us right in the heart, primarily because of just how rare and important they are in our lives. And what would be even more impressive is if Heschel could teach us all of this level of appreciation, of awe and wonder in the age of smartphones and Wi-Fi, of Netflix and Fortnite. Because in Heschel's time, the biggest sedative was drugs and escapism through countercultural movements. But today, escapism is built into the fabric of who we are and how we live as a society. Our go-to is a profound lack of wonder. Our go-to is protection. Because without it, we fear that we would never stop crying. But those means of protection, the games on our phones, the binge watching of Netflix originals, the incessant partisan harping coming from our radios or televisions, while protecting us from consistent heartbreak, also detrimentally do just that. They protect us from heartbreak. They cushion the blow of life's horrible truth. And they numb us from feeling the brokenness of waking up to another mass shooting, to swastikas spray painted on headstones and on city walls, and to the ever-increasing disparity between those with money, those with food, those with clean drinking water and access to transportation or a roof over their heads, and those without. In our world and in our time, we aren't looking to be surprised. We're looking to be numb. And it makes sense. It does, because it's painful to wake up to 12 more people dead for absolutely no reason. It fills us with guilt and shame and anger to look the homeless in the eyes when we head down to lunch in Detroit, or to go see a show or to go to a Lions game. It feels so much safer to look at our text messages than to look at homelessness. To crush little pieces of candy or shoot cartoon birds at unstable digital edifices rather than watch parents eulogize their kids. Because being surprised, being shocked, living in wonder, in confusion, in awe, it leaves marks. And those marks change the way that we interact with the world. And almost always they make us more vulnerable to those things that hurt us the most. But Chevra, if we still have that foolish hope, if we still believe deep inside in the Meshugana and Chutzpahdik idea that there is good in this world, that hatred is worth fighting, that injustice is worth eradicating, that innocent death is to some extent preventable, then our greatest weapons are those very marks that we so actively avoid adding to our bodies or to our hearts or to our souls. Because fools may believe in hope, but I believe in fools. Wonder comes from our wounds. Awe comes from heartbreak. And change comes from the persistent surprise of just how much life can hurt. Perhaps the greatest paradigm of this truth is the central figure of the parashiot that we've been reading these last few weeks, our patriarch Yitzchak or Isaac, who in his short life up to leading to his meeting and eventually getting married to Rebekah, is separated from his brother, is nearly murdered by his father, and has to bury his mother. And when we get to our parsha this week, Isaac's trials and adventures are nearly at their end, and we read, "Vayihi ki zaken Yitzchak, v'tichena einav me'erot." That when Isaac was old and his eyes dim and his sight faded, and to our normal reading eyes, when we read this passage, when we get to this point in the text, we assume that the two are related. Because Isaac is growing older, his eyesight is beginning to go. His eyes are getting dim. His vision is beginning to fade. But Rashi, the great Torah commentator and careful textual analyst, tells us something very different, and it's something that's very beautiful and very important for us to pay attention to. Isaac's eyesight was not impaired from old age, Rashi teaches us. Isaac's eyes became blurred when he was tied to the altar during the Akedah, during his binding in Genesis 22, when his father tethered him to the altar, when Isaac's heart was breaking and his body was quaking with fear. The angels were watching, and they were weeping. And their tears were coming down from heaven, and they fell directly in Isaac's eyes. And so for the remainder of his days, Isaac's sight was blurred by the tears of the angels. Which means that when Isaac forgave his father, when Isaac buried his mother, when Isaac took a wife and built a family out of love and compassion and devotion, when he blessed his children, when he redug the wells his father had dug, when he wept for his children in hopes that their lives would be filled with blessings and with goodness, he did so with the mark of his own pain, with the scar of his own trauma. And we can make the argument that he didn't do these things in spite of that mark, but dafka because of it. And I can't help but think that not a day went by after that terrifying morning when Isaac wouldn't wake up and say to his family, "Today I witnessed a miracle. Today I saw a new day." Whether that day be sunny or overcast or darkened by storms and rain, each day was a surprise. Each day was a miracle, because each day was blurred with the tears of what was and what could have been. However, I know that it's hard. I know that it feels endless, like each and every morning we wake up to another tragedy, to more pain, to more loss, and to more hatred. But the day we stop being surprised by that tragedy, that pain, that loss, and that hatred is the day we no longer stand a chance of wiping their presence off the face of our lives, so that our children and our children's children can know a life of awe and wonder for the infinite blessings that exist in this life. and shame on us if we wait. Because I know that Max and his friends are capable of changing their world. I know the goodness that exists in their hearts, and I am so blessedly surprised by just how incredible this young man and those like him are. But he shouldn't have to change ours. So let's look the heartbreak and the pain in the eyes. Let's allow them to do with us what they will, to leave us with marks on our hearts and the tears of angels in our eyes. And with our blurred vision, let's stop looking for a way out and start searching for a way forward. Let us be shocked. Let us be appalled. And let us hold on to one another throughout it all. Because today is another day of wonder. Today is another miracle, and the world is waiting for our tired and our blurry eyes to look up and to never look away. I'd like to end this morning by offering us all a blessing. One shared with me earlier this week by Alana Ben-Zaev. So thank you, Alana. Where are you, Alana? Sorry, where are you? Thank you for sharing this, because I can't think of a more appropriate way to bless us this Shabbat morning than with the words of this Franciscan prayer that Alana shared with me earlier this week. May God bless you with discomfort. Discomfort at easy answers, half-truths, and superficial relationships, so that you may live deep within your heart. May God bless you with anger. Anger at injustice, oppression, and exploitation of people, so that you may work for justice and freedom and peace. May God bless you with tears, to shed for those who suffer pain, rejection, hunger, and war, so that you may reach out your hand to comfort them and to turn their pain into joy. And may God bless you with enough foolishness to believe that you can make a difference in this world, so that you can do what others claim cannot be done, to bring justice and kindness to all of our children. May we be blessed, may we be surprised, and may we be foolish until the end of our days to believe in hope and the dream of a world filled with kindness, of wonder, and with awe. Shabbat shalom.